Welcome to Your Creative Midlife. I'm Betsy Bush, and on this podcast, we're talking to people seeking out and experiencing their creative passions and their artistic pursuits. And today, I'm really happy to have someone who's really done well in this area. His name is John Kneapler. He's an artist who grew up in Miami, Florida, and now when he paints in the New York area, he's drawing on those memories of water and sky and changing weather. Just beautiful work that we'll see in a minute. He came to New York as a young person going to school, and then he founded John Kneapler Design, which is a graphic design and branding company. And then he started painting, and we'll talk about his painting at the Art Students League in New York.
Yes.
And what it means to be an artist now at midlife. You've retired from your graphic design company. Tell me what being an artist has meant for you. You went from being a graphic designer that was business-oriented, client-oriented, and now you're painting for yourself. Tell us what
Sure.
that's like.
Well, thank you for having me, Betsy. And yes, I grew up in Florida, and in my family, the motto was, how are you going to make a living? If you want to paint the bathroom. And my parents did not want me to be an artist. They were always, how are you going to make a living? And they would save everything I did and put it under the bed and say, well, you're going to be a doctor or a lawyer. But they always knew I was talented and very, very creative. I was always making things and doing things and thinking out of the box. And I did not even know what graphic design was. I didn't know you can make money doing art. And I went to Florida State for 2 years. My parents wouldn't let me go to New York at a high school. They thought I would live a secluded life and I would be killed as soon as I got off the plane. And they were very, very afraid of just New York City. And I went to Florida State and I met somebody at Florida State and he said, oh, I'm a package designer. And I said, what's that? He said, well, somebody has to design the ketchup bottle and they get paid handsomely for it. And somebody designs these logos and what's a logo? And I said, oh, I can do that. And I had a picture that I made in high school of an old house and I sent it to Pratt Institute. I got a scholarship to Pratt and that was my ticket out of Florida and I flourished at Pratt. I loved it and was so creative and so welcoming. And my first client in school was Pratt. Hired me to design all their communications posters and brochures and things for alumni events and galas. And I started making money like within months that I was there. I really enjoyed it, but I kind of dabbled in fine art that was completely separate at Pratt. I was in the communications department and it was interesting because I didn't paint for many, many, many years. But a crazy part of the story is my father went in the hospital for a operation. It got botched up and he died. And then my mother died 3 months later of a broken heart. My parents were inseparable. They never, ever stopped holding hands. It was beautiful, but I just started painting. I didn't know what to do. I had all this frustration and I started in my living room and I just went wild. And it was something I always wanted to do, but I also love business and making money and the intellectual stimulation of running a business and negotiating and marketing. And I've always been very marketing driven. So I found the place called the Art Students League, which I didn't even know. Somebody in my building where I live on Union Square said, go paint at the Art Students League. You can get a locker and you can take a class for the month or you sign up and it's only like, $200 and you can go at your leisure and morning, noon, night, weekends. Thousands of people that go there to do their passions, in jewelry and painting and watercolors. And I found a place I love. I almost cried when I walked in the door. I felt so at home. This is where I was meant to be. And I have not stopped. And it's wonderful because I feel energized and I feel happy. And always have to quote Jane Fonda because she says, if you find your passion and do it with a like-minded community, you will add 7 years to your life. You have endorphins, you have enzymes, you have creativity. But if you have a book club, you have a writing club, you have a art-minded group, you just relax and you just feel comfortable. And it's a wonderful, wonderful thing to have that passion that you can pursue.
You know, I'm so glad you said that, because one of the issues with getting older is isolation. And the community you founded through your art, I've just had a nice recording with Sarah Safian, who runs writing workshops. And you can really find community in that and sharing each other's work and reading and listening to each other. These things are so important. They're so important.
Absolutely.
We're going to look at some of your pictures,
okay.
And I want to just take some time. And at the moment, we're looking at this picture of this old house that you drew when you were 17.
Right. I drew this in high school. We were driving around one day in some kind of different community in Florida, and we found this old house, and you didn't have, cell phones then to take pictures, and you had to go have your film developed. And I had a teeny little picture of this old house in a field, and I just said, I'll draw it. And I sent this to Pratt with some other things, and I got kind of a scholarship on this, and I had sent it to the Society of Illustrators also once I got to New York, and they put it in their first exhibition. But some of the other things that were important in my painting was we had a boat, and I would sit at the back of the boat, and we would go back to the harbor, and I would see these approaching storms and the clouds in the sky. And I just love blue and changing weather, where you have kind of tumult and then there's calm, and it's a flow of a lot of energy and passion. I have a particular very strong brush stroke, and it's developed into my style, which is in my unconscious, almost like a writer that has like a forte of something that they're passionate about, and they can kind of use as a wordsmith or some type of jewelry making or whatever your passion is. But it's always been in me. It just flows. I go to a canvas, it just starts,
I look at this house that you drew at 17, and it looks like it could have been in a storybook.
Right.
Or like one of those with black and white illustrations. I mean, such talent there at 17.
Thank you.
It's really nice.
Thank you. And I do also have to say that we, as a graphic design firm, we did a lot of branding. We did a lot of logos. We designed Cidarella's branding and packaging, and Champion Parking, and Brookfield. And we had wonderful, wonderful clients. It was very, very high end. MoMA, we did a lot of work with MoMA.
Yep.
And it was always good taste and good style. And both my parents had good taste and good style. And my father would say, you want to buy a tool, you buy the best one. It's nicely designed, and you invest in a good tool, you'll have it for a lifetime. And my mom also was an interior designer before she met my dad. I know my talent comes from my parents and my family, and I had a picture that I found in a chest after they passed away. And my father made an illustration of Noah's Ark with these animals going into the ark. And I see where my penmanship comes from. It's absolutely like this old house. It's really amazing. And they would never showed it to me, never talked about it, never. And it was just crazy.
It's interesting that art can be encouraged in children, but it kind of goes up to a point. It's like, it's great that you're good at that, but we want you to go to law school, right? We want you to go into business. There's a functionality to it, but then it kind of closes down. I know you've said your parents were really concerned about how are you going to make a living, right?
Yep.
And that's not misplaced, because artists are not, there are a few that are very well compensated, but not everybody. There is a truth to the starving artist stereotype.
Yes. And it's also important, I found, to do both. I kept painting and I kept the design firm for many years, and I really enjoyed doing both. And it started where I took like a month off and I was just painting, and I wasn't happy. I missed the business. I missed my clients and friends. And it's important to do art so you don't have to worry about if you don't sell a painting and the anxiety of financial things. The company also gave me the security that I didn't need to worry about money. Art supplies are extremely expensive now.
Yeah.
I give so much credit to these true artists that are, true to their field, but also you have to stick your neck out and make it work. And I think that the most successful ones that I know have found a combo of the two. And it's just important because you can really become depressed if you're in your apartment painting all the time. You don't interact with other people. It gave me also the means to do it. And later in life, I'm so glad I have this passion. I do have a husband who was very successful as a cardiac anesthesiologist, and he retired, and he is looking for his passion. And I feel so bad that he has not found it yet, because he was always in the operating room and it was 24 hours a day. And it's just hard to find out what it is that will make you happy. I can't say he's jealous, but he just also wants to have that energy and excitement that I have personally when I'm painting.
Yeah. Well, you're not the first person to mention this problem that some retirees have. I can imagine a medical career. From the time you were, in college or graduate school, you were one-track mind, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's a tough one, right? How do you, music, writing, gardening, even,
yes.
bird watching or travel.
Yeah, French lessons.
Cooking, baking, right? There's a lot out there. And what's interesting to me is these days we are living what they're calling the new longevity, right? Where we can expect to be given another, if you're 65, you can reasonably expect to live another 30 years, which might be almost as long as you had a career. So what does that 30 years look like? And start something now so that when you're in your 90s, you can look back and say, oh, I'm glad I didn't waste those last 30 years, right?
And also with art, particularly, you make something tangible. You have a product, or you take ceramics, or you write something. You have something in your hand, and it's wonderful. It's not like it was fleeting that much. But then also you have the problems of storage. Where do you put everything? And it's but it's part of the process. Yeah. But I just really also, my parents saved everything under the beds and in the closets. I just found everything I made as a kid, which was amazing because they somehow knew or something. And it's wonderful to go back and see these things. It's kind of full circle. Very good friends with Dr. Ruth, who was like the most amazing person. She said, she loves the turtle because the turtle has to stick his neck out. And he can't go back into a shell all the time. If he doesn't stick his neck out, he'll always go forward. And you have to go forward. You can't stay still. I just find that wonderful as a kind of analogy. You have to make an effort. You have to get up and get out and do these things. And sometimes you need a little push.
Let's talk about this. This is one of your examples of
a branding and package design. This is for the Museum of Modern Art. This is some branding for some wrapping paper, some holiday cards. We had one of the first spinning cards with them for many years. And this just shows a group of things. They have a whole retail division that we did a number of products for. Some of the other products you have here, we did the first Jewish spinning card. It was a Hanukkah card that had a little dreidel in the middle that we had to kind of work with them about a holiday card for Hanukkah because it wasn't a big market. It became a big seller.
Yeah, that's very creative. Your professional life was very parallel or adjacent to your artistic life. You weren't forced to give up your artistic talents completely. I mean, some people are, right? Some people are go do finance or law or something and then find that they have an itch they have to scratch and they have to get out the paint or whatever. You managed to combine art and your design and business as well.
Also, the COVID really kind of hit us because we specialized in large-scale events of galas for fundraisers. And we would do the branding and the invitation, and everyone had every year the theme, Night of 100 Stars and honoring these individuals. And during COVID, there were no events. It closed overnight. All our events were canceled.
Yeah.
I didn't really want to do Zoom events. I just don't love the computer as kind of a design element. And that was an opportunity for me to, after 40 years, close the business and pursue painting. It was almost like a door opens as another one closes. And it turned out to be a really good thing for me personally. And wonderful employees and wonderful clients, but it was just the right time. What's going on now is I got on the board also of the Art Students League and trying to help them grow as an institution. And, it's still mixing a little business with pleasure and also a place to paint and, lots of friends and colleagues.
Yeah. Let's have some more slides to look. Yeah.
So this is me painting at the league, and you can store your paintings in the rafters above. And it's
great.
just me with an expression, a great happiness of this changing weather in front of you. You see the sky and the water and, a large brushstroke, very, very energetic and kind of passionate. And this is one side of my work. And the other side are kind of more fine art etchings where like Albrecht or kind of Picasso-esque. I do kind of these like very minimal, thin line, Matisse, Picasso-esque drawings, kind of do both those styles.
I think we have one of those. I love how happy you looked in that picture.
Oh, yeah.
You were definitely having fun, and how big that format was, and, getting in there with your brush, almost like painting a bathroom.
Yes.
Size-wise, at least. And then this is intriguing. Tell me about this.
So this is a Freddie from the Art Students League. He's a model. He's this Greek guy. And it just kind of shows my unique pen stroke and kind of little dabs and doodles. And I've done a number of these that are very, very simple. And they kind of just happen. It just comes out of my hand. They have very strong hands. I've always had very kind of creative, strong hands, and I always felt like my hands are my life. And that's why, like as a package designer, we had to make things. I had to make comps, and I had to cut and paste and, just use my hands a lot, and I enjoy that.
I wonder if there isn't science that talks about the importance of linking hand to brain, that your brain needs to direct your hands, and there needs to be that linkage.
I think not just the linkage, but the thinking as you're doing. I play a lot of tennis, and tennis is really, really good for you because you not only have to think of the tennis racket and the stroke, but you think of the strategy and where you're going to place the ball. And it's kind of like with art, where are you going to place the brush with the color? I think that it's a combo of creativity in your brain that stimulates the thinking process, because that's one of the secrets, I think, of with Alzheimer's and other products that happen. You have to exercise your brain. Your brain is a muscle, and you have to give it a little zets, to do that. And, I commend a lot of writers because it really, when I'm writing, my brain almost hurts sometimes because you're searching for that, connection in your brain to come up with the right word, or you're connecting in a painting the right color and the right stroke. And I think that it's a part of that whole process of keeping busy and keeping engaged. The brain is a very powerful thing.
It's great to feel also that you have the ability to do that, or the freedom to do that. I think a lot of people sometimes are afraid of not being immediately great at something.
Yes.
Did you find that there was a learning process even at your stage?
Yeah. My paintings that I made in the beginning were a little bit of a mess, and I have developed my style over a long period of time. Now I'm mature and confident and know my color combinations, and it was a process. And it also has developed it. I kind of go back to my husband because he is a perfectionist, and he won't do things because he says, I'm not going to be the best at it. I've always was the best at everything. Sure. And nothing's perfect. If you get, a result that's 80%, sometimes it's plenty. You're doing fine.
Also, the iteration, you need to keep, it's a process. You keep getting better. One of my previous episodes was with a woman, Elena Rahona, who helped found the New York Late Starters Orchestra.
Oh, wow.
And this is for people who have decided at some point, I want to learned to play the violin, or I started violin when I was 7 and hated it and put it down, and now I wish I could play the violin. And it's people making music together imperfectly.
Yep. Yep.
But the joy is in making the music and the community that that springs up again.
Right.
The theme of community.
And I like that at the League. I really encourage artists to, I like to help anybody in a creative field, become successful, because they don't teach you how to be a business person with your art, or set up an Instagram page or find a gallery or help promote your work. And luckily, I do have some of that marketing background, which comes naturally to me, but it's just important for other people, to have shows like a group show with your friends, go to a fair on the weekend and sell your ceramics and, do these things. You can monetize it also, thinking out of the box,
Yeah. No. And for folks who've never seen the Art Students League, it's on West 57th Street.
Yes, it's 150 years old. We just had our anniversary.
It's a gorgeous building.
Gorgeous building. Oh my God. Yeah. I actually designed the logo for the anniversary for them. And it was donated by one of the Vanderbilt Whitneys. And it's just a massive complex for artists. It's just, and there's many, places in New York, like as you were talking about before, you might find in your community, a JCC or your church or, another, book club or something that, is, you didn't think was available to you, or, they have, many things that you should look into to find, that you might have a natural talent you never knew about.
Community colleges might have community, non-matriculated student resources. Here in Westchester, our community college, they have a playwriting group and a filmmaking group and photography and all sorts of ways to work your way in, dip a toe in, see what you think.
Right. Stick your neck out.
Stick your neck out.
Stick out your neck. Or even baking bread.
It's so important. And I love, let's look at some more of your slides. Okay, tell me about this.
So this is a school of fish. This is a watercolor. And I did a group of different fish groups. I love the colors. And I sold 50 of these on Instagram.
Nice.
Yeah, this one just seems to kind of work. And I also like the concept of this is like a group, and it's swimming. It's moving forward. So this is called, just the school of fish. Next slide is this is for a house in the Hamptons. This is changing weather.
Beautiful.
This is see the sky and the sea and the energy and kind of the motion.
How large is that canvas?
So this is like in feet, like it's be like 3 feet by 2 feet. Okay. Some of the other ones I've made are really, really large. Yeah. Some are like 10 feet by 6 feet. But this is color. I love color. It's called a color field painter. And I'm just attracted to certain colors. Happy, light, pleasing, calming. I just like refreshing and somebody to feel good.
Right.
That is more my thing. It's not dark.
What does success look like to you?
Success to me is actually being satisfied. And I do like gratification and kind of acceptance and things that I feel emit a response. I like when somebody likes something and they get a visceral response and they connect to it. And success for me also is the process.
John Kneapler, I have really enjoyed this conversation.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Sharing, your journey as an artist and the lessons you've taken from life, right? And we all grow up in families, and being able to draw really satisfying lessons and conclusions and being able to follow your passion is very important. And boy, very fortunate to be.
Sure. Thank you. Thanks for doing this. Well, I think it's great. This is your passion.
This is my passion. My passion is helping people. It's a big world out there, and we as humans need to connect our brains to our hands. And honestly, the more I hear about AI, the more I have to say, people, we need to be creative.
Absolutely.
We need to create our own stuff, whether it's whether it's good or whether it's not good, it's important to be creative in all
Absolutely.
aspects of our lives. So,
Yes. Great. Thanks again.
Thanks.